140,000 Hispanic businesses in the state of Illinois, quite a few owned by undocumented residents. Today, the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce launched a campaign to make sure that all Latino businesses are protected from ICE. From the kitchen to the bar, immigrant business owners make up nearly a quarter of self-employed individuals in Illinois, pumping almost $3 billion into the economy, according to the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. But not all owners have plans to keep their businesses going if they're deported.
Payroll, bills to pay, all that stuff. I'm the person who's dealing with that. So, yeah, I am worried every single day.
Angel Diaz is undocumented. However, he is in the final stages of getting his U.S. citizenship. Bringing his grandmother's recipes from Mexico City to Chicago, Diaz opened the Pilsen restaurant by himself 9 years ago.
I mean, I've been working hard for so long, and I've been here for more than 25 years. You know, I feel like this is where I should be, you know?
Despite Diaz's longevity here and economic contributions to the United States, the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and others are urging businesses to prepare for a succession plan in case their owners are deported.
Those businesses that are facing these challenges are going to continue because they are resilient like all immigrants are.
The Hispanic Chamber and others are offering a free program providing owners with preparation tools in case they are deported. The tools are not just for undocumented owners, but also for owners with citizenship that employ undocumented immigrants.
I tend to tell my employees not to be feared because fear is one of the worst feelings you can have.
Legal resident Jose Munoz and his family owns La Para restaurant in Berwyn. They have a plan in place if ICE walks in the door.
We have a private room where that it's only for employees that should protect our employees.
Because the state of Illinois does not require immigration status to get a business license, the Hispanic Chamber does not keep data on how many businesses are owned by undocumented residents. By word of mouth, the chamber says it's quite a few.
Watch shines a spotlight on government activity. Chicago's Inspector General now calling on City Council to protect her office from outside interference. In a memo released this month, Deborah Witzberg accused the city's law department of repeatedly interfering in investigations. On Wednesday, City Council introduced legislation that would codify the Inspector General's independence. It would also ban the law department's tactics of potentially interfering in her investigations. However, a measure was quickly introduced to delay that ordinance. Here to talk more about the issue is Jeffrey Covich from the Better Government Association. Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. Thanks very much.
Of course. So let's talk about this. What new protections is the Inspector General's office asking for here?
So very briefly, the memo that she issued laid out 3 ways in which she says the law department is interfering in investigations, and that's delaying subpoenas enforcement that the OIG has asked for, asserting attorney-client privilege to shield some materials from the Inspector General, and insisting that law department lawyers be present at interviews that OIG investigators are doing. And those all sound a little technical, I realize, but this is an investigative body, and it is very hard to do an investigation if your subpoenas aren't getting enforced. It is hard to do an investigation if materials are being delayed by attorney-client privilege review or outright shielded. And it's very hard to do an investigation of city employees if the lawyers for the administration, who is their employer, are sitting there in the room with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, what happened in council? This ordinance was introduced, but it was delayed almost immediately.
Yeah, Matt Martin, the chair of the Ethics Committee, introduced ordinance that basically followed the recommendations of the Inspector General's memo, codified some protections against these sort of interference. Alderman Cicho Lopez, who's a close mayoral ally, kicked it to the Rules Committee, which is the delaying tactic you see often in council to try and slow roll or stop something. And this just comes at a really awkward time for the mayor, because the Inspector General had just put out a memo about the gifts room, gifts that were being improperly accepted on behalf of the city and not reported correctly and all of that. And in that report, the Inspector General also said there was interference. So within the span of a couple of weeks, you've got a pretty harshly worded report saying things aren't being done properly and we are being obstructed, and then there's an attempt to correct that, and the mayor and his allies get out in front and try and slow roll that. It's really a bad look for the administration.
Yeah, and the Inspector General's been pretty active in the last couple of months. I mean, I know she had her quarterly report released not too long ago.
Yes, and testified before council about that, and that was actually when she first started bringing up some of these issues publicly. There was some back and forth with older people who were very surprised to hear that there were city lawyers sitting in on investigations and things like that. That is an unusual practice. That is not something you expect to see. So I think a number of members of City Council were very taken aback by that.
So it's in Rules Committee now, that ordinance. In terms of the process of moving forward, what happens now?
In a perfect world, you'd like to see the mayor say, oh, we'll fast track this, we'll get this out. But if that doesn't happen, the Rules Committee is a committee of the whole. All 50 members get a vote there. So a majority of City Council would need to vote to reassign it to the Ethics Committee. And from there, it can follow its normal process. So a real opportunity for City Council to show some independence if they want to advance this, whether the mayor wants to see it advanced or not.
And we have seen this council do that,
right? Seen this council be more assertive than previous ones. So I think there is a chance that we see this will move forward, even if the mayor would prefer that it not.
Okay, Jeffrey Covich, great to see you. Thanks so much for
having
coming
me
in.
on.